Welcome back to Nerdy with Nelson.
Praise be to you.
Here we explore the most compelling characters and stories in modern television.
Oh, I think I'm pregnant.
What?
Today, we're diving into the unforgettable journey of June Osborne from The Handmaid's Tale.
Yes.
From the moment we met her in Gilead, June is caught in a horrific system that strips away her identity, her freedom, and her family.
Whose fault was it?
But beneath the surface, we quickly learn that June is no ordinary handmaid.
Joseph of Matthew. Seats of honor.
Her strength, resilience, and refusal to submit make her one of the most powerful symbols of resistance we've ever seen on screen.
Who can be turned, ignited.
Across the seasons, we witness June transform from a woman trying to survive within the system to someone determined to tear it down.
Wear the dress. Pull the strings.
Her evolution is both gripping and complex, marked by moments of vulnerability, trauma, and fierce defiance.
Such a brave girl, aren't you? Standing in defiance.
In today's video, we'll take a closer look at her psychological journey, her relationships, and how her character embodies both the horrors and hope within The Handmaid's Tale.
So do you think you could be open to change?
So, sit back, and let's unravel the mind and motivations of June Osborne, a true survivor in every sense of the word.
Now let's get started.
Before Gilead, June was a relatively ordinary woman, married to Luke and mother to a daughter, Hannah. She worked as an editor, embodying the freedoms of a typical woman in modern-day society: independence, career, family.
I actually just got promoted to assistant editor.
Her life was comfortable, and she held liberal, progressive values, which made the sudden loss of her autonomy under Gilead's patriarchal rule more jarring.
You can't work here anymore. It's the law now.
Roger, what law?
This version of June is nurturing, kind, and non-confrontational.
No, she most certainly is not.
Her relationship with her best friend Moira highlights her progressive attitudes, but it is only after Gilead takes over that her inner strength, resilience, and capacity for leadership begin to fully emerge.
We have to go now. Get everybody out, get the bags. Use both doors. Go. Now. Let's go.
Gilead society strips women of their individuality, especially handmaids like June, who are reduced to vessels for reproduction.
I just find the whole thing so impersonal.
You think?
They are forbidden to read, write, or speak freely. In the early stages of the show, June is forced into submission, enduring the loss of her rights, the separation from her family, and the emotional abuse inflicted upon her by the regime.
He watches me.
This version of June is quiet, introspective, and often consumed by fear.
He hasn't told anyone. Not yet.
She initially clings to survival, trying to avoid punishment and hoping to someday reunite with her daughter.
You want to see your baby girl again? Then you need to keep your fucking shit together.
However, even in the first season, small acts of rebellion begin to reveal June's inner resistance.
Questions. They're curious about our lives here. I know that if spoken to, you'll speak wisely.
I'll try to.
Her subversive thoughts are shared in voiceover, showing how despite outward compliance, she refuses to be fully broken by the system.
My name is June.
As the series progresses, June transforms from a passive figure into a symbol of defiance against Gilead.
You're taking me to the city.
Key moments like her affair with Nick, her resistance to the strictures imposed by Serena and the Waterford household, and her growing courage to take risks, mark her evolution.
Could help me move children out. I'm gonna get them out.
You're gonna get yourself killed.
Her rebellion is deeply personal at first. She fights for herself and her daughter, often acting out of desperation and maternal instinct.
I'm her mother.
However, as she spends more time in Gilead and witnesses the suffering of other women, her goals broaden.
I'm gonna get out as many children as I can.
She becomes a leader, eventually becoming part of the underground resistance network, Mayday.
Such a boss now.
June's journey of resistance is messy, morally complex, and driven by a combination of rage, love, and vengeance.
I made a promise that they would hurt the way we hurt.
Her character arc is not one of idealized heroism. She makes choices that are sometimes ruthless or self-serving, highlighting the toll that living under such a regime takes on a person's moral compass.
They can save
They get her, she talks, they get the entire network, and they're gonna fucking kill her anyways.
June's motivations evolve significantly over the course of the series, influenced by both her personal experiences and the growing atrocities she witnesses in Gilead.
They just take everything from you, you know?
Here are some of her key motivations in the series. At the beginning of the series, June's primary motivation is survival.
The only thing I could do.
After being captured and forced into Gilead's system as a handmaid, June is terrified and devastated by the loss of her freedom, family, and identity.
We've been some good weather.
She learns quickly that to stay alive, she must adhere to the rules of this new world.
It's too dangerous.
Early on, she is mostly concerned with avoiding punishment, staying alive, and maintaining some semblance of hope for reunion with her daughter Hannah.
I need to go home.
This is reflected in her strategy of outwardly complying with the demands of Serena Joy and Commander Waterford while secretly nurturing her rebellious thoughts.
I need to grab the nearest machine gun.
Her internal monologue reveals her determination to survive in any way possible, without losing her sense of self entirely.
Because I intend to survive. My name is June.
One of June's central driving motivations throughout the series is her deep, fierce desire to be reunited with her daughter, Hannah.
Be your mommy. You know that?
The separation from Hannah is traumatic for June, and this trauma fuels much of her later defiance against Gilead.
I have another daughter. You chased us in the woods and you hunted us down with dogs. And when you pulled her away, she screamed. My baby screamed for her mother. And I hope this feels like that.
Her bond with Hannah transcends the role Gilead assigns her as a handmaid, reminding June of her identity as a mother. Her longing to find Hannah motivates many of her actions, from attempting to gather information about her whereabouts to trying to escape with her.
I can't leave without her.
In later seasons, as she learns more about Hannah's whereabouts, June becomes obsessed with rescuing her, even if it means risking her own life.
I love you. I love you so much.
This maternal instinct drives her through some of her darkest moments, and her role as a mother remains one of the most defining aspects of her character.
Baby. I'm here.
As June's character evolves, her motivation shifts from personal survival and protection of her family to a broader sense of defiance against Gilead as a whole.
I'm sorry.
She begins to view her situation not just as a personal tragedy but as part of a larger systemic injustice that needs to be fought.
Bullshit.
One of the turning points in this shift occurs when she begins forming connections with other women who resist Gilead.
I want to help. With Mayday.
Her participation in small acts of rebellion, such as exchanging secret messages or helping other women escape, is a way of asserting her autonomy in fighting back against the dehumanization imposed on her and others.
They cut out her tongue. After she stood up for Janine.
June's relationship with the resistance group, Mayday, reflects this growing defiance.
Did anyone from Mayday get caught?
She becomes more involved in underground operations, and her defiance shifts from quiet, internal rebellion to overt action, such as her eventual efforts to orchestrate the escape of several children from Gilead.
She did this. June.
This defiance is also fueled by her anger at Gilead for what it has done to her, to women, and to society as a whole.
I remember.
June Osborne's character in The Handmaid's Tale is not without flaws, which makes her a deeply human and multidimensional protagonist.
Such a brave girl, aren't you? Standing in defiance.
June often acts impulsively, driven by intense emotions, which sometimes puts her and others at risk.
Are you insane?
Her need to defy Gilead's regime or protect her loved ones frequently pushes her to make rash decisions.
Stop saying that!
For example, her attempts to escape with Hannah are often poorly planned and reactionary, jeopardizing her safety and others in the process.
Hannah, we have to get Hannah. You know where she is, right?
No, of course not.
Well, you're and I. Find out. Ask Serena.
Jesus.
Her impulsiveness also manifests in her anger and need for immediate retribution against those who hurt her, such as Fred Waterford, which leads her to act out of vengeance rather than strategy at times.
You what? What?
I killed Fred.
As the series progresses, June becomes increasingly focused on her own pain and trauma, sometimes to the detriment of others.
When did you get to be so selfish?
While her actions are understandable given the extreme conditions she faces, she occasionally loses sight of the greater good in favor of her personal vendettas or desires.
Everything is always about you now. Your problems.
For example, her obsession with rescuing Hannah often blinds her to the risks and consequences it poses to others, including her fellow handmaids or the resistance movement.
Not have been the path they would have chosen. But you didn't ask them, did you? You chose for them.
Similarly, her tunnel vision regarding her personal grief and desire for revenge leads her to make morally questionable decisions, particularly in later seasons.
Such a selfish girl.
June's character becomes increasingly morally ambiguous as she becomes more entrenched in Gilead's violence.
By his hand.
Her survival instincts and growing anger push her toward actions that are sometimes ruthless or vengeful.
Who put her in that position?
While initially, she tries to resist Gilead with compassion and care for others, as the seasons progress, she becomes more willing to embrace violence and manipulation.
Lady, I don't know what you're talking about.
For example, June's willingness to sacrifice others for her own goals becomes a point of internal conflict. She often uses people to gain an advantage, even when it means putting them in harm's way.
By his hand.
Her role in Fred Waterford's eventual death is a stark example of how she allows her desire for revenge to overshadow her earlier sense of moral integrity.
I'm gonna put Fred on the wall.
This dark side to her character suggests that Gilead's brutality has left a permanent scar on her, altering her moral compass. June often struggles to fully trust others, even those who try to help her.
Trust.
Her experiences of betrayal and oppression have understandably made her wary of those in positions of power or authority, but this also leads her to keep secrets and avoid alliances that could be beneficial to her cause.
You're different.
Her guardedness causes friction with some of her closest allies, including Moira, Luke, and Nick.
It wouldn't make a difference.
This lack of trust sometimes prevents her from relying on others in meaningful ways, and it can isolate her even when she has people who want to help her. June Osborne's character is one of the most compelling elements of The Handmaid's Tale because of her complex motivations. She begins as a woman simply trying to survive a brutal, oppressive regime and reunite with her family, but over time, her motivations expand. She evolves into a defiant force of resistance, motivated by anger, vengeance, and a deep desire to fight for justice and freedom. Not just for herself, but for others trapped in Gilead. Her journey from a victim of circumstance to a leader of a revolution is central to the series, and her moral complexities make her a fascinating, multidimensional character. Thanks so much for watching till the end. I really appreciate your support. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. For more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Until next time, take care and stay tuned.